Knowing that your first ideas are not necessarily going to be the long-term ideas, but they still are what gets you started. So taking some action on those ideas is just really crucial. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today is Reflections 23, and the date, or rather the time is 2:56 p.m. and the date is December 16th, 2018. And I have just had quite a process trying to get this mic working. I don't know what changed. Like, I literally changed the USB port that I was in, and like the entire mic changed, and I have no idea what the fuck is going on. But it's working now. Thank God. It was a process. I also did a good job of like not freaking the fuck out, because like I would have a tendency to, because Reflections is delayed and I want to just get started with recording, there would be part of me that would be like judging the entire process, like this should be a certain way, why the fuck is this working? And then I just get really upset. But I did a good job of holding my cool, so I'm proud of how I did that. So let me just talk about quickly what Reflections is. Reflections is a weekly show. And actually, before I even do that, let me just talk about how my quality of life has been raised by raising my ball. I sit on a ball. I don't know if you know this. A medicine ball, if you will. And people typically use it for exercise. I use it for my desk because I don't like chairs. So this is a really good way of keeping that healthy balance between a chair and not liking chairs. So anyways, I had it like, as you'll notice, like in the past episodes, I was like a little bit shrunk, if you will, and looking a little bit shorter. It's because my ball was sinking. So I filled it up, and my quality of life in these has immediately improved because I feel so tall, which is how I normally feel, which I like, and I don't like sinking into a chair. And it's good for my desk as well. I'm just very pleased with how it came out. Anyways, Reflections. So Reflections is a weekly show where I get on camera and on Sundays and reflect on my week. I share the key highlights, the key lessons, the key takeaways, if you will, what I'm going through, my experiences, etc. that happened in a given week. And share it all with you on video and document it for the historical nature of it as well. So anyways, let us get into Reflections 23. What's been on my mind? I've been thinking a ton about 2018 and going into and transitioning into 2019 and how I want to handle things, and loops I need to close, and reflections I need to do. Not reflections like these, but the actual reflection of 2018, and making sure I gather the correct data to not only document but also move forward with that data and change things next year in ways I do want to change. So, and in addition to that, also some form of goal setting, whether that's in general just goal setting, or 2019 goal setting, or what have you, just some form of planning or objectives or intentions or what have you. I still don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I will figure it out. Reflections always comes first, though, in terms of before I want to goal set or plan or anything like that. I want to look back and make sure I'm gathering the things that haven't worked and the lessons to extract and all that jazz, to make sure I'm not just aimlessly going forward. Thinking a lot about reflections and how I don't want it to be so long and I want it to be more concise. I also don't want to sit here and just talk more than I have to. I find that I can sometimes ramble about things, and I'd rather just keep it short, to the point, and almost like a just enough, that perfect balance between not too long and not too short. I want to find that happy medium, and I want ideally to be like 25 minutes-ish. And it's been going way over recently, and I have been mentally like freaking the fuck out because of it. What were my favorite wins? The MVP for NIM Tracker is complete, thank God. And MVP only means the minimal viable product, which means there's still more work to do. However, most of it's working. The minimal functionality is up, and I'm grateful for that. And the tracker, by the way, is a internal tool that Mom and I are going to use to track energy sessions and clients and all types of stuff like that. Okay, so that was just really cool to develop, and had a lot of fun, learned a lot in terms of specifically form work and how to use final form better. And yeah, I was very pleased with how that came out. And I also worked on more things in terms of that, like getting it set up on the server, all the bugs that can't come with launching something in production, and things like disabling the load, if you will, for a form if it has changes in it from the initial thing, aka that thing that prevents you from leaving if you have anything in the form or whatever. There's just various little things that I worked on with that, but pleased how it all came out. I started working with joshmoxey.com again because I'm not pleased with how it is right now. So I want to tweak the design, and I'm very just grateful because I don't have to go from 0 to 1 this time. The foundation is laid, it's all built. Now I just have to make some changes in the direction that I want to go, and worked on multiple things in that aspect, like redesigning the banners and how the pages are in terms of a little bit of changing of the structure of them, the way page previews look. That was also one of my favorite ones right there, is like the page preview design, which is you kind of see a page, or you see like a list of pages or whatever, and you only see like the visual / banner, if you will, and then maybe a title and the category of what type of page that is, and like that is a page preview, if you will. So I love how that came out. Yeah, just rewriting a lot of stuff and updating things that I've learned from new projects since that I've done that. So some decent progress on content stuff. Edited 3 episodes of Reflections up until the last one, which was 022, which feels nice to edit something. This is probably the fastest I've ever edited Reflections. However, I'm still not caught up, but in terms of posting, but we're getting there. I'm having some errors with my laptop, and it's just like canceling out sometimes, and it's irritating. But guess what? I move forward anyways, and we'll get there. I want to get caught up by the end of 2018, so should do that and should make that happen. Worked on one of my favorite wins of the week was like getting those reflections dividers working. And I love so much that the reflections dividers do not cut off auditorily the clip in front or behind it, because that was a struggle with the other ones. I'm like, fuck, it's cutting off, which means it makes it harder to do micro content with it, because I don't want the reflection sounds to be on Instagram per se. I just want the raw clip. So I had a very like challenging experimentation phase trying to make sure it looks good. There's still more tweaks I probably have to do on the dividers, but as of right now, I'm pretty pleased with how it came out. I also love that I got to use the same song as the intro and for Reflections. So very pleased with that. Shout out VPod. It's a fucking kick-ass song. Also on the content front, we've got some work done on gems, which is the dividers and the intro. That always seems to have to come first. But anyways, started working on the sketches for this. And you can't really see much, but there's just all types of different variations of how I want to do this. I'm still not sure 100%, but I liked taking the time to sit down and flesh out some ideas for that. Super excited to launch gems. What worked? Taking a break from Greek god while my shoulder is pulled. Yeah, I tweaked my shoulder in my sleep, which doesn't really mean I tweaked it in my sleep. It kind of just means I tweaked it because I had something happen in my field where the shoulder was ready to tweak, and some sort of resistance, if you will, or less than ideal energy. Anyways, I want to work out, like my ego really wants to work out, but I have to rest. So I am, and it's also an opportunity to take some time to let, number one, me super miss it. So that's because it's just a great energy when you miss working out, and then you come back and it's like, thank God I missed this. Number two, some time saving in the process, because working out does take up a decent amount of time per week, but however, it is very enjoyable, so I don't really think of it as wasted time. Number three, give my muscles an opportunity that were stagnant to have like a week off, and apparently that's really good. So we'll see how that goes, and I'm grateful that I'm still continuing to train abs during this rest period, if you will. So that feels really good. Having tasks to do when things aren't going as planned. So yesterday my laptops were not working at all, and for like 20 minutes or whatever, and I was just like, okay, I guess I'll just fucking start sketching. And that's when I came up with like, I just basically started listing out things in my brain around gems. And that's when I came up with this stuff. And I'll talk about gem stuff a little bit more later in lessons. But I'm just pleased with the act of making use of that extra time when I could have just went on my phone or a million other little things. Like, it's just maximizing those few minutes. It's just everything. And it got me amazing progress in that area. So I'm very pleased with how that hack went over. Continuing to focus on one project at a time. I've loved this. I'm going to continue with this. And just keeping focus is really fucking helpful for me. And it's not going to be perfect always, but just trying to keep it as close to one main project as possible is very, very helpful for me. Going slower in ab exercises. I can find that I go way too fast on certain things, and really taking the time yesterday to slow it down and just get proper form. And it burns so much more when you're going slow, I find at least. And I also feel better rather than putting up these insane fucking reps. It's just good sometimes to just go slower, lower reps, but also know that you're doing the work. I mean, I think both do work, but it just felt nice to try with lower reps. What didn't work, and how can I improve it? Going on Facebook too much. This is a weird thing I feel like to say as a 22-year-old, because I feel like everyone exists on Instagram right now, but I've been sucked into Facebook groups right now, specifically Never Say Die's Facebook group, which is my favorite dubstep label. And I just love talking about dubstep, and like, I love the whole community and everything like that. So I can really get easily sucked into just going on Facebook and then looking at these posts, and like, it's just very interesting. So that's for the better or for worse what's going on, but it's taking away too much time, and I would like to change that going forward. 3 losses on my power list. That is the most I've ever lost in a week, and it really hurts my brain because if you know me, you know how much I value the power list and daily disciplines and daily action and just moving forward every single day, growing, etc. It's just so fucking important to me. And I fucked up here. So let me just go through the quick lessons that I learned from it, which were, number 1, do not socialize like hardcore, if you will, until the power list is done. That was my first fuck up on Monday. I had a almost 3-hour call with my old business partner from D-Fluff, Levi. And so I did that before my power list, and I'm like, wow, as much as I enjoyed that, it just offset me so bad for the rest of the night. And then I ended up calling Brian for like fucking 40 minutes or something like that. And I'm like, the fuck am I doing? It was a lot of self-sabotage for some odd reason. And I got to at night, I'm like, fuck, I could either stay up till 4 a.m. finishing all this, or I could continue, or I could just go to fucking bed and wake up tomorrow and hit it hard. And I did hit it hard the next day, and I had a good rebound until Thursday. And I think it was Thursday. And that is when I took loss number 2. And the second loss was I made them. Oh, no. That was number 3. Second loss is double checking before going to bed. I ended up basically doing what I said I wasn't going to do on Monday, which was stay up for a long time. So I stayed up till 5:30 a.m. finishing power list, and then I like did a really good job. And then I woke up the next morning. I'm like, oh God, there was a second part to that to do that I forgot to do, which was press render. I forgot to press render, so I lost the second time. The third loss was from making things way too big. After that second loss, I'm like, all right, we gotta fucking set a crazy power list the next day. So dumb. I ended up making it way too big. My brain was so dead, and I could not. Well, I might have been able to, but I just took an L. It was really rough. Still did work, and I was still progressing during that, but I was like, my brain is dead. Like, I don't know if I can do all this right now. So that was tough. But rebounded yesterday, continuing to rebound today. I do not like losing that much. I would like to not. I would like to go 7 for 7 in a week. So that having that happen was tough, but I'm glad I learned what not to do in the future. I have a slight degree of slouching right now, and my posture feels off, and I do not like that at all. So it's still pretty good, and most people would be like, "Yeah, great posture," but I want like the best posture ever. So I know I still have more ways to go in this area, and specifically thinking about if I was to be pulled up in a string from the top of my head, that is the ideal posture I find. So lowered shoulders go a little bit back, and like so that type of balance plus my lower back almost like keeping it straight, as well as imagining I am being pulled up like a string or on a string from my head. And that is, I think, the best way to improve your posture right there. If you follow those things, your posture is going to change. It is a habit at first, but it just becomes easy over time. So now I just have to do some quick corrections and change that, because I just don't feel great the way when I'm walking around. I'm like, fuck, my posture is off right now. It just doesn't feel right. I've realized that too much coffee can actually make me tired. I'm not really sure why. I read that it might be about dehydration, but I just don't enjoy it. If I'm drinking way too much coffee in a day, I actually just start feeling like shit. So maybe limiting to 2 cups-ish is, or actually I don't know the actual cup measurement. It's more like scoops in my world, but not going crazy and overboard, because it doesn't feel good, and I value the way my health feels, so, and my body feels. What were my biggest lessons? All right, so let's go back to gems for a second. When I thought there was a very key takeaway that I had yesterday, which is like, I think, I don't know if anyone feels like this, but I typically feel like I have the rough answers for things, and it's just a matter of actually taking those answers and executing upon them. So with gems, I had these ideas of these designs in my head, and they wouldn't go away. They kept persisting, which I'm like, okay, maybe there's a reason for this. So I started sketching them out, and I'm like, okay, these have some legs. And then I started fleshing them out more. So knowing that your first ideas are not necessarily going to be the long-term ideas, but they still are what gets you started. So taking some action on those ideas is just really crucial, whether it's going to be this, you just don't think of it so fucking perfectly, is basically what I'm trying to tell everyone, as well as my past self, because I was really bad with this stuff, but because I was trying to like ponder up the fucking greatest idea of all time. Just get started with what you have, what's in front of you, and then it will morph, it will evolve. And that's what's currently going on with gems right now. I'm like looking at these designs, and it's just cool to watch how they go from the first to what they end up being. And it still has more, I still have more work in this area to do with the gems designs, but I have a solid base now of things I can do and options I can choose. I've realized how much fun making tweaks are to an old project an old project. So for me with joshmoxey.com, it's been a while since I've like hardcore worked on it, and I want to say 6 months, something like that. And now I know more about Redux, and now I know more about React. I have improved in design, in data, in APIs, all of this jazz. So it's been really cool to come back and not have to like rebuild everything, but rather retool things and just tweak things. And it feels so fucking nice to be able to implement these like changes rather than totally building a whole new thing. And I'm loving the hell out of it right now. Oh my God, I realized how scared I am still of talking in front of a group of people. It's insane. Like even after doing all these, and basically at some point, there's been hundreds of views on videos, and I don't think about it as views per se. I think about it as 300 people or 400 or whatever the fucking number is, people watching. And it's fucking, that would be terrifying to do in person or whatever. But even on Monday, I was in a public setting, going through like this small business Waterloo thing. I forget what it's called, but I had to say my name and what I was planning to do or whatever. And I was like just shitting myself. I got so scared. There was such a tremble in my voice. I thankfully I do a good job of like speaking the fuck up and being powerful with my voice. So apparently the tremble is not heard. However, I'm fucking hearing it and I'm feeling it. And it's like the most terrifying thing. But I realized how much work I still have to do in that aspect. And it's something I definitely require improving in the future. A friend approached me with concern about my health earlier this week. And I learned a few things from it. For one, it was about like sugar and cholesterol and sodium. So they are right on cholesterol, I think. Sodium, no, because I was miscalculating things with my smoothies, and the sugar, I just don't believe what they're saying is accurate, and because it's sugars from organic fucking fruit. I am not convinced that fruit sugar is bad sugar, and I got a lot of flack for it from these two individuals, and for one, I learned how much I dislike disapproval, and this is something that I have to change in the future, because to do anything great, you are going to get a shit ton of disapproval. And I'm not talking about my fucking diet being great or anything. I'm just talking about the pattern there of accepting disapproval, embracing it, and just being able to handle it in a almost like a stoic manner, I feel like is the most ideal. So I learned that from that. I also learned that there can be like this expectation that I'm going to implement advice if it's given to me. That's not necessarily accurate. I will consider it, but like many times I don't want to just listen to random fucking POVs. I would rather just go directly to a world-class person, find out what they think. And I'm very limited in who I listen to. And some people may see that as a weakness. I think it's my greatest fucking strength, because I just want to listen to people who have what I want and have been where I am, and ultimately just listen to my fucking self, my gut, my intuition, etc. So those are 1 and 2. And yeah, I also realized that there's just a shit ton of fucking POVs in health, and it's a challenge because there's no like objective thing. And when you try to come at me with the words like proven facts and stuff like that, I'm not gonna listen, because a lot of things, or I'll still like kind of like ponder what you're saying and thinking about it, what I did. And but there's just there's so many different opinions and different viewpoints that I'm like, I don't know who the fuck to listen to. So we'll just see how time goes, and see if I'm wrong, or if you're wrong, or who ends up being right in the end, or whatever. It's just the challenge is opinion. They're all just opinions, okay? There's so many opposite things. It's just fucked. So I have no idea what the correct thing is. I'm just gonna fucking continue doing me, going on what I think is the correct thing, what I feel is the correct thing, etc. And hopefully my health ends up being solid. But man, I just disagree with viewpoints that were outlined to me. What challenges did I experience? Challenges. Reflections being too damn long. This is shaping up to be a very good reflections. I'm very pleased on how it came out. Ironically, did a session on this morning with non-material source energy medicine. And I'm very pleased with how this came out. It shouldn't even be a surprise. It just makes everything so fucking divine and works so beautifully. And I'm feeling very downstream, if you will, right now. So loving that. Anyways, let me just go back to what I was saying though. Reflections being too damn long. I expand too much on things that don't necessarily require expanding on. I'm like afraid to list out things without expanding on it. And overall, I feel like I've let that go. I'm trying to consciously practice that today. And I think it's going well. So hopefully that challenge is in the past. But if it isn't, it's not the end of the world. Because the longer people listen to me, people become more loyal the more content I'm going to push out. And if they're actually consuming it, they're either becoming more loyal, or I'm going to push the people that aren't loyal, and to me, to my message, to everything like that aside. So it's a pruning factor, if you will. Where did I grow the most? Design, with specifically Josh Moxey and with gems. And I like how it all came out. I'm appreciating the advancement of my design, trying to, again, keep things very imperfect, did I say imperfect? Yeah, I'm just trying to keep things imperfect. I am trying to move faster. I'm trying to just, and not obsess over the present challenge, knowing that like it's going to seem very laughable someday. So remembering that and just not keep putting things on a pedestal, the challenge that is currently going through, knowing that like it's going to pass and I'm going to look back on it and be like, was a tiny fucking thing, like I do with everything. And I'm sure you can relate to that as well. Everything seems so fucking big in the moment until the past has arrived. Everything seems so fucking big in the moment until it's the future. And then you're like, the fuck? Like, why was I worrying about that? That was so tiny. And I think it just takes some age, if you will, to realize that occurs, and just like looking back to look forward, if you will. So that's what I'm doing there. What am I obsessed with right now? What am I obsessed with right now? Design. I've kept talking about this the entire fucking episode, and I'm just loving it. I'm loving like the code aspect of design. I'm loving sketching, like sketching, man. Like all these things are just, they bring me so much fucking happiness. And I'm just loving the act of creating something from nothing. I'm loving the act of making beautiful things. It brings me so much happiness. I love it so much. I think this might be the fastest episode, or close to the fastest episode, that I've done in recent memory, and I feel very good about that, because I was trying really hard to just, and not even trying really hard, just kind of like allowing myself to not expand so much on things that I don't necessarily need to expand on. So anyways, I hope you found this episode valuable. I hope it brought you some entertainment, some escapism, or some education, or some motivation, or inspiration, or any of those things. I just hope it was worth your while watching or listening to it. And I appreciate you so much for watching and listening. If you found enough value, I would love if you could give it a like, comment, rate, subscribe, or follow, wherever the hell the thing is where you are, to follow along on my journey with me. Would love to have you. Appreciate the hell out of that. And by the way, if you did find a key thing that really stuck out to you, maybe a lesson, maybe a topic I covered or whatever, let me know the timestamp. I would love to see what brought you the most value. Anyways, my name is Josh Moxey, and I will catch you later.